9, CBSE Board. Poem Lord Ullin's Daughter by Thomas Campbell. A chieftain to the highlands bound cries, "Boatman, do not tarry, and I'll give you thee a silver pound to row us over the ferry. Now who be ye would cross Loch Gale this dark and stormy weather? Oh, I'm the chief of Ulva's Isle, and this Lord Ullin's daughter, and fast before her father's men. 3 days we have fled together, for should he find us in the glen, my blood would stain the heather. His horsemen hard behind us ride. Should they our steps discover, then who will cheer my bonny ride? Then who will cheer my bonny bride, when they have slain her lover?" Outspoke the hardy Highland wit, "I'll go, my chief, I'm ready. It's not for your silver bride, but for your winsome lady. And by my word, the bonny bird in danger shall not tarry. So though the waves are raging wide, I'll row you over the ferry." By this storm grew loud apace. The water wraith was shrieking, and in the scowl of heaven each face grew dark as they were speaking. But still as wilder blew the wind, and as the night grew drearer, adown the glen rode armed men. Their trampling sounded nearer. "Oh, haste thee, haste!" the lady cries, "though tempests round us gather. I'll meet the raging of the skies, but not an angry father. The boat has left a stormy land, a stormy sea before her, when, oh, too strong for the human hand, the tempest gathered over her." And still they rowed amidst the roar of waters fast prevailing. Lord Ullin reached that fatal shore. His wrath was changed to wailing, for sore dismayed through storm and shade, his child he did discover. One lovely hand she stretched for aid, and one was round her lover. Come back, he cried in grief, across this stormy weather, and I'll forgive your Highland chief, my daughter, oh my daughter." It was vain, the loud waves lashed the shore, return or aid preventing. The water wild went over his child, and he was left lamenting.
Welcome to Study Spectrum. Today we will take up the chapter Lord Ullin's Daughter. It's a poem written by Thomas Campbell. He's from United Kingdom. So they are telling us that Scotland stretches away in a spectacular fusion, a mixture of wooded glens, that is forests, sweeping moors, rugged coasts. Rugged coast means that United Kingdom is like a large island, and its coast is very rugged. That is why it's a very good port. It is indented. So rugged coast, towering mountains, it has high mountains, green valleys and deep blue lakes. It has many small lakes known as lochs. The Scottish people have long been famous for their close-knit clans. Clan is like a tribal community living together, and they are very close-knit. They are well connected with each other, and in fact one clan is always in a fight with the next clan. The tribes do not intermingle. One tribe will stay close into their group, and they will not intermingle with the next tribe. Now that has a bearing on the story of the poem. So that is why they are giving us this information about the setup in Scotland. Now United Kingdom is split up into Isles and Scotland and England. So this part, the Scotland part, is what this story is dealing with. So their close-knit clans organized under chieftains. Their leader is called a chieftain. And this chieftain, who often led fierce warriors to savage feuds. Feuds are battles. So each clan has a chieftain, and they fight battles with each other. The second information they are giving us is Lord Ullin's daughter. Now there are lords there. Like we have tiny kingdoms here, and Rajput kings we used to have. They have lords who are the so-called king of that area of land. So there is this Lord Ullin, and he has a daughter. Is one of the most popular romantic poems of Thomas Campbell. Thomas Campbell generally writes romantic poems. He writes about human nature. Now this is Lord Ullin's Daughter is a very famous romantic poem written by Thomas Campbell. It describes how a Scottish chieftain and his beloved flee her wrathful father. Flee means run away. They elope to get married. Wrathful father. Wrathful is someone who is very angry. So the chieftain along with Lord Ullin's daughter, they flee away from that place to escape the ire, the rage, the anger of her father. But their defiance leads to their deaths. Their defiance, they are defying the father, they are running away from them, but they are not able to run away and live a happily married life. They die in the story. In a surging stormy sea, they are trying to cross the sea, and that's where they die. This is the summary of the poem in 2 lines. So the poem goes like this. A chieftain to the highlands bound cries, boatman, do not tarry, and I'll give thee a silver pound to row us over the ferry. So the poem begins with the chieftain telling the boatman, do not tarry, do not delay, hurry up. I'll give you a silver pound if you take us in your ferry across the ocean. They want to run away. Now, who be ye would cross Loch Gyle? Now this is the boatman talking to the chieftain in the second paragraph. Who be ye means who be you, who are you? This is Old English. So the boatman is asking the chieftain, who are you who wants to cross the Loch Gyle? This dark and stormy weather, because the boatman is explaining to the chieftain that the weather is very stormy, it's very dark, it's dangerous. Who are you who wants to cross over in my ferry in such bad weather? Oh, I am the chieftain of Ulva's Isle, and this Lord Ullin's daughter. So this is how the poet is telling us who these two are, by the chieftain telling the boatman that I am the chief of Ulva's Isle. Ulva's Isle is the name of a place. It's a valley, Ulva Valley. So he is the Lord, the chief of Ulva's Valley, and this, the lady who is with him, is Lord Ullin's daughter. This is how he has introduced himself and the girl along with him to the boatman and also to the reader. Now in the third paragraph he says, and fast before her father's men 3 days we fled together. So in the third paragraph, and fast before her father's men 3 days we fled together. So now the chieftain is talking to the boatman and saying, please hurry, do not waste time, because her father's men are chasing us. For 3 days we have been running together away from those men. Now we have come to this Loch Gyle and we need to cross over. For should he find us in the glen, my blood would stain the heather. So if her father finds us, he is surely going to kill me. So that is why we are in a rush, we are in a hurry, we want to cross over. Then in the fourth paragraph he says, again the chieftain is talking to the boatman. He says, his horsemen hard behind us ride. His horsemen. Whose horsemen? Lord Ullin's horsemen. His men are chasing us. Hard behind us ride. They are running behind us on horses. Should they our steps discover? Should they find us? If they discover where we are, then who will cheer my bonny bride? Then who will take care of my bride? My bonny bride. When they have slain her lover, slain means killed. When they have killed her lover, then who is going to cheer her? She is going to become sad for the rest of her life. So he is reasoning with the boatman why he should hurry, why even though the weather is dark and stormy, he should still take them. He is trying to reason with him so that he will be taking pity on them and take them across in the ferry. Then in the fifth paragraph he says, Thomas Campbell is telling us, outspoke the hardy Highland right. I'll go, my chief, I'm ready. So now the boatman is talking to him. He is the Highland White. That's the area from where he comes. So he says, I'm ready. I will take you, my chief. But it's not for your silver bright. The silver bright is the silver penny that he had offered him. So not for your money, but for your winsome lady. I will take you across because I am taking pity on your lady, not for the money that you are offering me. 6th paragraph. And by my word, the bonny bird in danger shall not tarry. So though the waves are raging wide, I'll row you over the ferry. Now again the boatman is talking. He's showing a lot of character. He's saying, by my word, the bonny bird in danger shall not tarry. He's saying that even though it is so dangerous, again and again he's trying to warn them. Again and again the poet is building up that climax of death, preparing the reader for what is going to happen. The build-up of danger is there. The boatman is saying it is so dangerous right now to go in this kind of weather, but for the sake of your girl, I will not waste any time. I will ferry you across. So though the waves are raging wide, the waves are coming with so much of power that there is so much of white froth on them, I'll row you over the ferry. The waves are raging and yet they don't even have a boat. They have a mere ferry in which they have to go. The boatman, with his experience, knows perhaps that this is not going to be a successful endeavor. Now the 7th paragraph. By this the storm grew loud apace, and the water breath was shrieking. So now the poet is describing us the scene. The storm is getting worse. The water is shrieking. Again there is a build-up to the climax of death. And in the scowl of heaven each face grew dark as they were speaking. So the poet is describing the dark clouds that are there in the sky are like dangerous dark faces looking at them, which grew darker, grew more dangerous as they were speaking. While the boatman and the chieftain are talking to each other, the clouds in the sky are becoming more fierce. So the storm is not going to settle down. It is getting worse. The weather is going to worsen and the ferry is not going to be able to stand the stormy sea. Anyway, in the 8th paragraph. But still, as wilder blew the wind and as the night grew dearer, so the wind is now getting wilder. The night is getting dearer. It is getting more dangerous. Adown the glen rode armed men. Now reference to the horsemen who are chasing them. Their trampling sounded nearer. Trampling is the sound that is made by the hooves of the horses when they are approaching. Now they are so close by that their trampling can be heard. So in the next paragraph, the poet talks to us about the dilemma the girl is facing. Oh, haste thee, haste, the lady cries. Though tempests round us gather, I meet the raging of the skies, but not an angry father. Now the girl is getting tense. Up till now, the boatman and the chieftain were talking to each other. Now the girl is getting very tense. She is saying, because she can hear the trampling. So behind her is the horsemen who want to kill her lover. And in front of her is a stormy sea which is getting worse. So she is facing a dilemma. Should she go here? Should she go back? So she says, I will face the raging seas. I'll meet the raging of the skies, but not an angry father. So that is where her decision is taking. That I will meet the raging skies, I will go on the sea, I will meet the fierce storm, but I cannot face an angry father. So that's her dilemma and that's her decision, that I am going to risk it. In the 10th paragraph, the boat has left a stormy land, a stormy sea before her. Before whom? Before the bride, Lord Ullin's daughter. When, oh, too strong for human hand, the tempest gathered over her. So she has left a stormy land. Why is the poet calling it a stormy land? The storm was in the sea, not in the land. But he is calling it a stormy land because just like the sea was stormy, similarly the land also seemed to be in a storm because of the approaching horsemen. If it is death that could be met at the sea, it is death that would have been met at the land also. So the land is also stormy, the sea is also stormy. Both are dangerous. She is in between. And what happens when the ferry goes across? The storm is so powerful for the human hand of the oars of the boat. The boatman cannot overcome the power of the storm. The tempest gathered over them is going to sink. They are going to die.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes or missing classes for rain, for rally, and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
11th paragraph. And still they rode amidst the road of waters fast prevailing. So they rode, they are rowing the boat over the roar, amidst the roar, among the roar of the sea, the storm. Of waters fast prevailing, the water is entering the boat is going to sink. Lord Ullin reached that fatal shore. The shore is fatal. Fatal is something that is associated with death. So the poet is calling the shore fatal because that has caused his daughter to die. His wrath was changed to wailing. Whose wrath? The father's wrath. After all, Lord Ullin is a father. And although up till now, since 3 days, he was so angry, but now he's wailing, he's crying, he's sorrowful. Why? 12th paragraph he says, for sore dismayed through storm and shade, his child he did discover. Since 3 days he is trying to find his child, so he did discover his child. So he should have been happy, but no. One lovely hand she stretched for aid. Aid is help. So one lovely hand of the daughter was stretched out for help, and one was round her lover. The other hand is wrapped around her lover. Come back, he cried in grief, because this is the sight he is seeing in the water. He is seeing his daughter there drowning in the water. Come back, he cried in grief. Who cried? Lord Ullin. In grief, in sadness. Across this stormy water, and I'll forgive your Highland chief, my daughter, oh my daughter. So now it is too late. He is saying, oh my daughter, please come back. I will forgive your Highland chief. So now he is ready to get them married. But now it is already too late. He is asking her to come back, but the water is going on, taking her in. It was vain. The loud waves lashed the shore, return or aid preventing. The water wild went over his child, and he was left lamenting. So for some time he could see his daughter in the waters with one hand stretched out and another around her lover, and he kept saying, come back. He tried to pull her towards him, but the water completely took her inside and she was gone. And he was left all alone on the shore, lamenting because the daughter is gone, the chieftain is gone. Now it is too late for him to discover that he could have got them married. So that's the end of the poem. They are telling us about the poet. They are telling us that Thomas Campbell, 1777 to 1844, was born in Scotland. So he belongs to Scotland. That's why that is the scene around which his poem is rotating. He is chiefly remembered for his sentimental poetry dealing specially with human affairs. His poems are generally sentimental. A lot of emotions are shown in his poems about human affairs, because this is what happened in 1777 and is happening today also, wherein a child wants to choose her own partner and the father is not willing, he has his apprehensions, and sometimes to the bad luck of parents, they discover too late that they could have agreed, they didn't have to lose their child over something like this. He was also one of the initiators of a plan to found what became the University of London. So University of London, as we know today, when it was in the planning stage, it was Thomas Campbell who was initiating that plan that we should have a university in London itself. In 1799, he wrote The Pleasures of Hope, a traditional 18th century survey in heroic couplets. Couplets are not paragraphs but two lines rhyming with each other, like Kabir ka dohas, like that, couplets. He also produced several stirring patriotic war songs, Ye Mariners of England, The Soldier's Dream, Hohenlinden, and in 1801 the Battle of Baltic. So these are some famous events that have occurred in the history of United Kingdom, and he has written poetries about it. Now let us go on to discuss the question answers on this poem. In the initial part, they have given us an choose the correct alternative kind of questions, wherein a line from the poem is presented to you, and then there are various options given below. So you have to choose that option which is most appropriate. Like I have told you many times before, there may seem certain options which seem like the correct answer. So then of those two or of those three options, you have to choose the best one. So the first one is, Lord Ullin's daughter and her lover are trying to 1. Escape the wrath of her father. 2. Settle in a distant land. 3. Challenge the storm in the lake. 4. Trying to prove their love for each other. All 4 options that are given, none of them seem wrong. They are trying to escape the wrath of her father. They are trying to settle in a distant land, because when they will cross over, they will plan to settle down there. They are challenging the storm in the lake. They are challenging it. They want to cross over even though the weather is bad. They are trying to prove their love for each other is not really seeming like a good option. They are just fleeing away with each other. They are not proving to each other that I love you. So of these 3 options, which is most appropriate? Now that is most appropriate which has been discussed in the poem. So them settling down in a distant land has not been discussed in the poem. Them challenging the storm has been discussed, but Lord Ullin's daughter and her lover are trying to escape the wrath of her father seems to be the most appropriate answer. So that is what we will go with. The second one is, the boatman agrees to ferry them across because he has fallen in love with Lord Ullin's daughter. 2. He wants to avenge Lord Ullin. 3. He has lost his love. 4. He is sorry for the childlike innocence of the lady. So he has fallen in love with Lord Ullin's daughter will be a complete misinterpretation of that line when he says that I will do it for your bonny bride but not for the silver pound. That does not suggest that the boatman has fallen in love. Then he would not ferry them. So that is not the correct option. The second one, he wants to avenge Lord Ullin. Now perhaps there is some history, but nothing like this has been mentioned in the poem. So we will not go with that option. The third option is, he has lost his love. Perhaps he has lost his love and that's why he likes to favor lovers, but nothing like that has been mentioned in the poem. So we will not go with that option either. The fourth one is, he is sorry for the childlike innocence of the lady. That seems to be most appropriate because he says that I will do it for your bonny bride. When he says, who will cheer my bonny bride once I am gone, when the chieftain says this, that is when the boatman takes pity on the innocence of the little girl and agrees to ferry them across. So that is the option that we will go with. Question C. The mood changes in the poem. It transforms from, first option, happiness to fear. 2nd, anxiety to grief. 3rd, fear to happiness. And 4th, love to pain. Now all 4 are seeming appropriate because it does go from happiness to fear, can be an option. Anxiety to grief can be an option. Fear to happiness, no, cannot be an option. We do not begin with fear in the poem and then end up with happiness. The end is definitely grief stricken. And the fourth one, love to pain. All these three are seeming like the correct answer. So the two that are looking very appropriate is anxiety to grief, because earlier there is anxiety whether the lovers will be able to cross over, and then there is grief because they do end up dying. And then love to pain, because it begins with a love story wherein the two lovers are trying to elope with each other, and yet it ends in pain because they end up dying. So we will go with love to pain, because very clearly they are talking about lovers in the beginning of the poem and it is ending with their death, which is pain. So we will go with the fourth option. Looking at question D, the shore of Lochgyle has been referred to as a fatal shore. I had explained to you when we did the poem, he is calling it fatal shore. This poetic device used here is metaphor, simile, transferred epithet or onomatopoeia. Now it is very important that when you go for your exam, you should be familiar with quite a few figures of speeches. These are all figures of speeches. There are 37 figures of speeches in all, but if you can cover around 20 to 25, then you are safe, because this kind of a question is definitely going to be asked. So we need to know what is a metaphor. A metaphor is when a comparison is made between two things without the use of the word like or as, which is not the case here. So this is definitely not a metaphor. They are talking about fatal shore. Second option is a simile. Simile is a figure of speech wherein a comparison is made between two things by using word like or as, which is not the case here. So this is not a simile. Transferred epithet. Transferred epithet is when an epithet, that is an adjective, is transferred from one object to the other. This fatal shore is a transferred epithet because it is not the shore that is dying. It is the lovers who have died at this shore. So it is as if the shore has become fatal. So the epithet, the adjective of death, fatal lovers, has been transferred to the shore. So the poetic device to use here is transferred epithet. And the fourth option is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a figure of speech wherein the sound that is created is used as a word. For example, when I say the barking of a dog, then I am referring to the sound that a dog makes. But when I say the bow wow of a dog, then again I am referring to the sound that the dog makes, but I am using those exact words. I am not saying barking, I am saying bow wow. So when the poet uses words like that, then it becomes a onomatopoeia. So the correct answer here is transferred epithet. Now in question number 6, they are saying, in pairs copy and complete the summary of the poem. They have given the entire summary of the poem, but in the form of fill in the blanks. Now this summary is very useful to you. You complete the fill in the blanks, but also this compiled summary can be used by you in all your answers. Because in all the answers, whenever a question is asked, you need to give the setting of the poem. So where in this summary comes very handy to you. So here the summary is, a Scottish chieftain and his beloved were dashed from her wrathful father. So they were fleeing, they were eloping from the wrathful father. As they reached the shores, the dash told the boatman. Now there are only two possibilities here. Either the chieftain spoke to the boatman or the lady spoke to the boatman. So we know very clearly that it is the chieftain who is speaking to the boatman. The lady speaks much later. So the poem opens with do not tarry, which is the dialogue of the chieftain. So the word that will come here is chieftain. The chieftain told the boatman to dash them across Lochgyle. Take them across, ferry them across, boat them across, all will be correct. He asked him, the chieftain asked the boatman, he asked him to do it quickly because dash found them, they would kill them. If the horsemen found them, or if Lord Urlin's men found them, they would kill them. So any of these options will be correct. The boatmen dashed to take them, not for. So the boatman agrees. The boatman agreed to take them, not for the dash that the chieftain offered, not for the silver pound, the money, the silver coin, all will be correct. The silver pound that the chieftain offered, but for his bride. For his bonny bride will also be correct. For his lover will also be correct. By this time the storm had risen, grown wilder, become worse. All will be appropriate. So by this time the storm had risen and a wind started blowing. The sound of dash could be heard close at hand. The sound of the horsemen could be heard close at hand. The sound of the trampling of the horses could be heard close at hand. The lady urged the boatman to hurry, to hasten, and as she did not want to face an angry father. So that compiles your summary of the poem.